Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Rangers. And I'm here to talk about Game 21 of the regular season. Rangers win 4-1 over the Philadelphia Flyers. We're built different this season. Oh, that was pretty darn fun. The first period was specifically. Man, alright, where shall we begin with this game? Well, pretty early on, the Rangers in the first period looked really good, right? I thought we looked good early on in the first period. Took like a solid 2 or 3 minutes before the Philadelphia Flyers even possessed it in our offensive zone, or I guess in our defensive zone. Like, we looked very solid. And the Rangers, hey, we got a power play. High sticking call. Rangers get a power play, and we would actually cash in on it. Not even, 4 minutes in. Not the first power play unit, but the second one, because the first one actually looked kind of bad tonight. But the second one, passing it around. Lafreniere back to Jacob Trouba. He passes it over to Niles Lundqvist. He passes it over to Capo Caco. Back to Jacob Trouba from the point. He takes a blast from the blue line, and it's in. A little bit of a screen help by Alexis Lafreniere. Good for him. Didn't get a point or anything, but I thought he was pretty integral in this play. And the Rangers take a 1-0 lead. Cool. Not that later on, they would increase the lead. So not too very long later, the Flyers clear it out of their zone. Ryan Linger gets it. He hands it to Adam Fox. He passes it up to Panerai in the neutral zone. Panerai with a beautiful pass. Basically, I believe when Dryden Hunt connected on it, it was right on the blue line heading into their zone. He bullies Ivan Provorov. And if you are Carter Hart, I'm sorry, you can't allow that goal. That was, he should have stopped that. That being said, Provorov really needed to do something to Dryden Hunt there. He was a force on that play, and Hunt with a beauty to make it 2-0 Rangers, his third of the year. He would actually get thrown out of this game a little bit later on. I'll talk about that when it comes. A beautiful assist by Artemi Panarin, just a really nice play overall by the Rangers, and they take a 2-0 lead. And that was it for the first period, where, it felt to me like, oh man, the Rangers dominated this period. We had it. It was all Rangers in the first. And granted, we did outshoot them, but it was only 15-11, and it felt like a whole lot more than 15-11 in that first period. I was expecting it to be this massive gap. I'm 15-11 is, it's 4 shots. That's decent, but it was not at all the gap I was expecting. And that was really the best period of the game for the Rangers. I thought we looked okay early in the second, and then after that and into the third, we just looked bad. Alright, so nearly immediately in the second period, the Rangers would score to make it 3-0. This was quite the play. So, Kreider has it as we enter the offensive zone. He plays it over for Capo Caco, who takes a shot on net. It's stopped, and the Flyers try to clear it. But Jacob Trouba holds it in. He passes it over to Mika Zibanejad on Carter Hart's right. He plays it across the ice back to Capo Caco. He puts a centering pass for a falling Chris Kreider, and what a surprise, it's another Chris Kreider goal. Kreider's 16th, you heard that correctly, 16th goal of the season to make it 3-0 Rangers. And by far my favorite part of this goal was afterwards, Kreider, who again slipped while he was scoring the goal and just kind of slid and spun around behind the net, is sitting there on the ice while all 4 of the other players on ice are celebrating. And Kreider's just like, I did it! I helped! Guys, there's been a serious casualty. Memes have consequences. My NFCD got cracked when I bumped the desk. Alright, I put the Stanley Cup puck there to try to give him extra support, so hopefully that works. Anyway, back to the game. The Chris Kreider goal made it 3-0, and you start thinking to yourself, maybe it's going to be another one of those ridiculous games like we had against the Flyers last year. And it wasn't, but it was still an interesting game for the rest of the way with Igor Shesterkin. Let's talk about it. So, before we get to the Igor thing, 2 minutes gone in the second. Dryden Hunt checks Justin Braun. Now, I might be saying something here that people don't agree with, but from what I see with Rangers fans, they seemingly agree with me. I don't think this was a dirty hit. I thought it was clean. Granted, Justin Braun, hurt his eye, was bleeding there, and I think if he wasn't bleeding, this wouldn't have been called a penalty. And you might say, well, Weston, that's sort of a no duh. Of course there wouldn't have been a penalty if he wasn't bleeding. But my point being, I don't think it was a bad check. I thought it was fine. I thought 2 minutes for boarding would have been appropriate. the 5-minute major and game misconduct I thought was ridiculous. I really didn't like that. It just seemed like a very strange call. I wasn't a fan of it. And now the Rangers are really put behind the 8 ball, because now you're going to have a 5-minute major penalty kill, which is a daunting task. And boy, oh boy, did Igor Shesterkin answer the call. Okay, so the 5-minute major starts, and Igor Shesterkin faced 8 shots on this penalty kill, stopped all of them. He was magnificent on this penalty kill. He was magnificent all evening, really. And with this penalty kill specifically, I felt like Tom Haverford in the mural episode of Parks and Rec. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I've stared at it for 5 hours now. Because on the penalty kill, Shesterkin wasn't just happy enough to, stop 8 of 8 on a 5-minute major. No. That was too simple. He also was like, what if I yeeted my stick away and instead of using a goalie paddle, used a player stick? Like, seriously, I've said this a few times with the Rangers videos to this point. I can't explain just how good he was on this penalty kill. You can easily find it. It's everywhere. NHL posted it already on Instagram. The Rangers posted it. Just go watch this penalty kill, and it's the beauty of Shesterkin on this penalty kill. He was magnificent. He was magnificent all night, really. Like, we've made the jokes a few times with Igor Shesterkin, but the Rangers really are transitioning from Henrik Lundqvist into Igor Shesterkin like that. Like, it's just something you do normally. Rangers, so goaltending report. You've ridden the back of Henrik Lundqvist for the past, 15 years, so that's been fun for you, I'm sure. But his career's in decline. He's probably going to leave after this season. Really got to probably spend a few years now looking for a good replacement for him, so enjoy your mediocre goaltending. Oh, no, we have something for that, don't worry. Wait, what? Allow me to introduce myself. That was my attempt at a Russian accent, by the way. I'm going to get killed by the KGB. Okay, so next thing is the Flyers goal. It's put in front. I think Cam Atkinson took the shot, and Shesterkin sees it, and as he's going to fall on it, with Trouba tied up in front of him, Frost just flies in, gives it a little poke, and it goes in. It was a very fluky goal. I have a really hard time being mad at Shesterkin on this one. It was just this weird fluky thing. I mean, he did everything right. Frost was just kind of left wide open by Alexis Lafreniere. He flies in and just tucks it on in. It's 3-1, but the Rangers are still very much in the driver's seat. From there on, the Rangers honestly looked kind of meh. There were a few other points where the Rangers had some action, but not really much of anything. We had, I believe, a power play a little bit after that, the waning minutes of the third period. That didn't do anything. Keandre Miller took a bad penalty for a cross-check, and then they got a power play out of it. And in the last 5 minutes of the game, Adam Fox took a penalty, which you don't like to see. Adam Fox, I'm going to be honest, I love the guy. He had a bad game tonight. There was a bad play where he just whiffed on a puck entirely and gave them almost a breakaway. If the Flyers were a little bit of a better team, we probably would have had to pay for that one. It was not a good game for Adam Fox, and this one was just a bad penalty to take, especially with Adam Fox being one of our very best defenders and just best players overall, so him being out on that penalty kill is not good. Along with that, we also at that point were down Dryden Hunt, who's been on the penalty kill a bit, and Barclay Goodrow, who took one off the visor. It looked painful as hell, and you hope he's okay, but it looked rough for Barclay Goodrow. And so with the Fox penalty on top of all that, it made that kind of a scary penalty kill. Luckily, we killed it off. Shesterkin again looks good on it. And I want to make a point here. So there was the Keandre Miller penalty in the waning seconds of the second period. There was this penalty by Adam Fox, and there was the 5-minute major. So that's 9 minutes. Plus, with about 2.5 left, they pulled their goalie. And he was only gone for about a minute because the Rangers would get an empty netter. I'll talk about that in a split second. But Shesterkin was on the ice while we were down a player for about 10 minutes today. And during that time, when they had the upper hand, he was at a bare minimum 13 for 13 on saves. He was 13 for 13 on power play shots. I believe he saved a few when they had taken their goaltender out, or when they removed Carter Hart. I think he made 2 or 3 saves. Like, Shesterkin was bonkers today when down a man. It was ridiculous. And now, before I do close it out, I want to talk about the Panerai Goal. I've said this a few times, which is, I get that it's an empty netter, but that was a really nice goal. This one by Panerai. I understand it's an empty net, right? So how nice can it be? Well, when you kind of bully Claude Giroux, steal the puck from him, and in the same fluid motion also put a shot on goal that just rings on in, pretty darn pretty. 4-1 Rangers, and that capped it off. It was a very great first period by the Rangers. Like, first 21 minutes, they looked fantastic. And then, from that point on, we looked kind of meh. But Shesterkin is, built different. Are we completely sure that he's a person and not just a robot specifically designed for stopping pucks? So, like, the elephant in the room, obviously, is how good Igor Shesterkin was tonight. 33 of 34, 13 of 13 on power play shots against. He looked, fantastic. Another insane game where the Rangers were just held in there for a while by Igor Shesterkin. I go watch that 5-minute major penalty kill by the Rangers, specifically Igor Shesterkin's dazzling play during it. It's insane how good he is. That being said, other than Shesterkin, I thought Kakko had a really nice night. He had a pair of assists. He's looked pretty darn good after that. When he finally broke the ice, he's looked great since then. He has confidence again. Jacob Trouba, I'm tempted to say looked good, but man, that fact that he didn't kick the puck away on that goal kind of bothers me. I thought defensively, again, he was a little lacking. Offensively, he was fine. Dryden Hunt, I would like to say had a good game, but getting himself thrown out of the game he didn't play long enough for me to say, oh yeah, he looked good or not. I'm not going to give you an award for playing 6 minutes. Now, granted, again, I think that was a bad penalty that shouldn't have been called. Oh, by the way, I completely forgot this. The Rangers scored another goal. It should have been at least a 5-1 game, but the goal got revoked because the linesman was blind. I forgot about this one. It was a Fox carryover that Rooney should have scored that just was uncalled. I almost forgot about that, but I wanted to bring that up. Back to who I thought played well. Kreider looked good. Seriously, I'll talk about him in a second too. Zibanejad had the nice assist on that tic-tac-toe goal. I know it was a secondary assist, but on there it felt more like a primary assist. Panarin had the really nice assist on the Dryden Hunt goal and also the empty netter. It was a solid first 21 minutes, and then from there on it was kind of shaky for the Rangers. But, when your first 21's that good and your goaltender is as insane as Igor Shesterkin is, you're going to find a way to win games like this, and that's great. And that kind of makes me want to segue into this. You're 21 games in. This is no longer a hot start. You're just good. And I'm very excited to say that. The Rangers started the season hot, and we've maintained the heat. We are still doing wonderful. We're still very much in contention for the Metro. Granted, we're in third in the Metro, but we are 1 win and 1 caps loss away from being first. It's a 2-point differential. Overall, league-wide, believe it or not, the Rangers are not far out. We are 4 points out from being number 1 of all NHL teams. We are having a very, very good first 21 games. This is no longer a hot start. The Rangers look great. On that note with it, Kreider, 16 goals through 21 games. No longer a hot start. Kreider is just a goal-scoring machine this season. He's looked great. The Rangers look fantastic. And man, oh man, I don't know what happened from last year to this year, other than we got grittier. And for a little bit there, for first couple of games there, I myself was a little upset about the offense. The offense has figured it out. I was like, yeah, Shesterkin won't be able to hold us. He won't be able to bail us out every night. And he said, bet. On top of all that, I also want to say, man, Gerard Gallant, he's going to find himself getting some Jack Adams votes. He has done a wonderment turning this team from a solid group last year to a genuine playoff contender in one season, where you lost a good bit of offensive power in Buchnevich. It feels special right now, guys. It's exciting to watch the Rangers at the moment. And I'm ecstatic to say that. this was just another fun game. The Rangers are just playing fun hockey right now. I'm ecstatic. Anyway, that's really it for today's game. We play San Jose Friday in MSG once again. We actually have a nice little MSG homestand here this week. That's at 7 on Friday. I'll be here after the game. Oh, man. So that's all I have to say for today. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Rangers.